What happens when different branches of government collide? When the enforcers turn their sights on the architects of the law itself? The question isn't just who wins, it's what survives. In courtrooms across the country, judges are constructing defenses within and outside the law.
A Wisconsin judge under arrest and facing charges accused of flouting federal law to help an illegal immigrant allegedly help that migrant avoid arrest by ICE officers at the courthouse.
Pam Bondi isn't just coming after crime, she's coming after the courts.
Some of these judges think they are beyond and above the law, and they are not. And we're sending a very strong message today. If you are harboring a fugitive, we don't care who you are. If you are helping hide one, if you are giving a TDA member guns, anyone who is illegally in this country, we will come after you and we will prosecute you. We will find you.
To federal judges standing in the way of deportation orders, Bondi's DOJ is escalating, targeting those she accuses of weaponizing the judicial system to obstruct enforcement. The stakes? Immigration law and judicial power itself. But who wins when the enforcers take on the architects of law? Who checks the power that checks the power? And with Pam Bondi leading the DOJ, who's on trial? What's at stake? And is this justice or agenda? Order in the court. And this time, Bondi's not calling the shots. She's on the stand. Bondi's Department of Justice wasn't just enforcing immigration orders in the courtroom anymore. Every procedural delay, every due process claim stretched to its limit, was a new brick in a wall against federal enforcement. So Bondi was preparing for a larger battle, against judicial resistance, waging war against the courts themselves, one motion, one ruling, one judge at a time. But waging war requires planning. Agendas must be laid, narratives spun, symbols of legitimacy carefully chosen. Bondi charted a new mission for the DOJ, one cloaked in tradition, framed in function, and designed to be above reproach.
So let me ask you, come into DOJ, you've got a mission. You've got a mission to restore integrity to the department, to end the weaponization and politicization.
On day one, I issued 14 executive orders, and number one is the weaponization ends, and it ends now. And raiding Mar-a-Lago, really? Stopping. All of that is stopping.
Pam Bondi's not easing into her role as Attorney General. She's stepping into the courtroom of American politics like a prosecutor with a case to make, on a mission. But what does it entail? 1, to end weaponization of federal agencies. No more partisan investigations, no more DOJ lawyers going after political enemies, and especially no more scrutiny of Donald Trump.
There's a lot of gratitude that they can get back to doing their job.
Their core function, and that's thanks to Donald J. Trump getting back in office, and he gave us a clear directive: make America safe. And we are returning them to their core function, fighting violent crime.
As part of the shift back to core functions, the DOJ's renewed emphasis on violent crime gives Bondi a convenient hook, tying deportation enforcement to public safety. Bondi has been vocal in pointing out murders and other crimes that have befallen American citizens at the hands of, quote, criminal, illegal aliens.
Millions of illegal aliens with violent records have flooded into our communities, bringing violence and deadly drugs with them. With me today, I'm so proud to be joined by Tammy Noble. Tammy is an angel mom. Her beautiful daughter, Kayla Hamilton, was murdered by an MS-13 member in 2022. Kayla had just turned 20 years old, and she was raped and murdered by someone who should not have been in our country.
The embrace of sanctuary policies in states like New York, perhaps unwittingly, creates openings for such tragedies, with each incident raising the emotional stakes and reshuffling the political deck, tipping public sentiment toward harsher crackdowns. Bondi has positioned her DOJ as a legal counterweight to states like New York, where leaders like Kathy Hochul have resisted the immigration crackdown. Bondi's response? Escalation.
You've gone after the states of New York and the states of Illinois, the city of New York and the city of Chicago for standing in the way of President Trump's efforts to deport illegal migrant criminals. And you're going to get a tremendous amount of pushback from both states. Kathy Hochul said this of your lawsuit against the green light law. She said, "We expect Pam Bondi's worthless, publicity-driven lawsuit to be a total failure, just like all the others. Let me be clear, New York is not backing down."
In her courtroom-style politics, the governors aren't just dissenters, they're defendants. And Pam Bondi isn't just defending policy, she's prosecuting resistance. To her allies, this is about defending executive authority and national safety against partisan sabotage. To her critics, it's federal strong-arming disguised as justice. The politicization of the law in a different direction.
They're protecting illegal aliens over American citizens. Not going to happen under Donald Trump's administration. We will find illegal aliens and we will deport them in Illinois, in New York, and in other states. And you better comply with federal law or you're going to be next. We've spoken loud and clear. We are sick and tired of Americans being murdered and these states protecting illegal aliens.
Is Pam Bondi restoring the rule of law or rewriting it to serve a new agenda? And if she'll lend the DOJ's muscle to Trump's most aggressive priorities, how far will she take the Department of Justice to defend them? The battle lines are drawn, and Bondi's not just preparing the brief, she's delivering the opening argument.
Do you have any thoughts about that Wisconsin judge?
Well, I think it's horrible. I think the whole thing is horrible with judges, with what's going on, and they shouldn't be doing that. That's very dangerous territory. And we have to be able to do what I ran on. I ran on a campaign of taking criminals out of our country.
When the governors pushed back, it was politics. When the judges pushed back, it was something deeper. It was a question of power itself. In the wake of high-profile cases, judges allegedly helping criminal defendants evade ICE custody, Bondi's DOJ sent a new message. No one is above the law, not even the judiciary. The judge's strategy? Bottleneck by procedure. They aren't arguing that deportation itself is unconstitutional, they're raising procedural alarms, questioning how federal orders are executed, whether due process is respected. In other words, it's procedural resistance, statutory delay, not a sweeping constitutional showdown, at least, not yet. Resistance was mounting in the courts, but Bondi's DOJ wasn't backing down. It was gearing up for a counteroffensive. Behind the courtroom battles and press conferences, a sharper strategy is unfolding, dismantling judicial resistance before it can harden into lasting precedent. Filing federal motions to override local rulings, posing direct legal challenges to state protections for undocumented immigrants, giving new directives to prosecutors to flag any case where judges delayed or complicated removal orders, pushing for expedited federal action wherever possible. But when judges aren't just delaying removals, they're helping fugitives walk free, the line between legitimate resistance and criminal defiance begins to blur. So Bondi's rewriting the playbook, seeking unconventional methods to enforce immigration policies. The case of Kilmar Abrego Garcia becomes a focal point, a test of wills between the executive branch and the judiciary.
Kilmar Abrego Garcia in Maryland. He's in a prison now in El Salvador. He was sent there. You insist, the president, everybody in the administration insists that he's MS-13. It appears that there's not going to be any sort of trial. He's not going to come back. DHS said he would be arrested and redeported if he comes back. Why not show the American people the evidence that he's MS-13 so they can make an informed decision? And that goes the same with this Henry Josue Santos, who was picked up in Virginia, who is now presumably going to be deported as well. Why not show the public the evidence?
Well, he is an illegal alien who has been living illegally in our country from El Salvador. Hard stop. He should not be in our country.
For Bondi and her allies, being in the country illegally is the hard stop, a criminal act, full stop. Add gang affiliation and violent crime in the case of Abrego Garcia, and in their view, due process is a dangerous delay.
He was deported. They needed one additional step in paperwork, but now MS-13 is characterized as they should be. as an FTO, as a foreign terrorist organization. So he is not coming back to our country. He's from El Salvador, he's in El Salvador, and that's where the president plans on keeping him.
Evidence. We're not going to see the evidence.
To justify urgent removals like Abrego Garcia's, Bondi's DOJ reached for something old and rarely used: the Alien Enemies Act, a 1798 statute giving the executive sweeping power to deport non-citizens from hostile nations. No trial, no conviction, just removal by designation. For Bondi, the framing served a purpose: to cut through red tape, bypass traditional legal hurdles, and recast immigration enforcement as counterterrorism. And despite a standing court order protecting Garcia from removal, the DOJ was able to deport him anyway. The move sparked outrage. Some critics called it overreach, others lawless. For critics, it wasn't just a deportation, it was a direct defiance of judicial authority, and it laid bare the simmering question beneath it all: power. Whose orders are obeyed, whose rights are protected? The power to enforce overriding the power to interpret. The line between politics and law are blurred. Both sides say they're defending real justice, but if politics is using law as a weapon, and law itself looks like politics to the public, then the courtroom is just another political battlefield, a new front in the fight for power. What began as a fight over immigration has become something deeper: a collision of loyalties and a contest over who holds the power to define justice itself. And in the clash between law and loyalty, between justice and power, what survives may not be the system itself, but the narrative, the story. What side will you be on?